As you guys know, my last book was called The Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power. And it was really awesome in the sense that you guys made it an Amazon bestseller. It was the number one bestseller in the public finance category. And I owe that all to you because we don't get like corporate support. We're not a big corporate outfit. White people are afraid of people like me. And so really you guys did this, and I want to say thank you so much for that. That really helps us to fuel the mission of making Black people the most economically intelligent group of people on the planet. It's well on our way to what we call Project 2070, which is by the year 2070, B1 people would be the world leaders when it comes to economics and wealth and things like that. And so thank you for that. Now, a lot of you have asked me to write another book. And so what I decided to do was put together something around. I don't like to just write books for just for entertainment, definitely not for entertainment, and not even just for knowledge, but for action. I like action. I like movements. I like things that move us forward. We got too many slick talking Negroes in the world that just, can give you a great speech and make you feel real good. Release all that dopamine that you get from a feel good speech, but they don't, nothing actually happens. And that's very frustrating to me. To me, I view that as a waste of energy. So what I wanted to do was center my next book around the 5 year pledge that we've talked about. And if you're new, you might or might not know that the 5 year pledge is literally where I'm just asking everybody, just make a 5 year sacrifice for your family, and you'll set your family on a different trajectory for the next 100 years. You focus for five, and the family benefits for 100 years. And the beauty of the 5 year pledge is that you don't have to change anything that you're doing right now. You literally already are doing all the things that you need to do for the 5 year pledge. And I'm not kidding. You literally are doing all the things you need to do already because you're already paying bills, right? And a lot of you have heard this discussion before, but I believe in repetition. Repetition trains our subconscious mind to center and focus. It trains our actions. It creates almost like a type of muscle memory in terms of what we do. And so forgive me if you've heard this before. You're going to hear it again. You're going to hear it 10 million times because I want you to know I'm not playing. I'm not kidding. I'm not just here to talk about it for a little while. This is our mission. And so, long story short, the same way you pay your car note on time, you pay your cell phone on time, you pay your rent on time, I want you to pay you on time, right? The same way you show up for the car dealer's family and the cell phone company's family and the landlord's family, I want you to show up for your family. So this annuity, that's it's called an annuity. That this is the key to wealth. An annuity is the key to wealth. It's a repetition, it's repetitive payments that go toward this a central goal that allow compound interest to then kick in, and then your money starts making money for you. So you already, when they say that Black people make everybody rich, uh, we should be very specific about that. They're usually talking about consumer items. They're talking about us going to the mall and buying stuff and all that, and that is part of it. But a big part of it are these annuities that you create. Because remember, think about this. I want you to think about how often Black people buy things and we don't buy them with cash, right? We make the problem even worse. Not only do we give our money away, but we give our future money away because we buy it with credit. Tell me if you get what I'm saying. Give me a yes if you're following this. A lot of us will whip out the credit card. We'll sign up for the predatory loan. We'll take the financing. We think the little Arab guy who gave us that 27% interest rate on the new Mercedes was doing us a solid, right? The rappers would go right down to Jake the jeweler and buy some jewelry on credit, right? And all in this credit compounds a problem. It's not compound interest, it's a compound problem. So I want to turn compound problems into compound solutions. I want compound blessings. I want compounds of generational wealth. I want compounds of Black success. So we need to take this bus, turn the damn thing around, and use compound interest in our favor instead of using it in the favor of other people. So not only do we give our money away, but we then get things on credit, which means we're giving away future money, and then you're trapped in debt slavery while somebody else rises. You're sinking, they're rising. That's what's happening. The sinking of your boat lifts up their boat. You create a wave that pulls their boat up out of the water. Do you understand? Does that make sense? The rising tide does not lift all boats. Your boat is sinking, their boat is rising. So you are the rising tide that's lifting all boats. Do you understand what I'm saying? Shout out to Barack Obama. If you want to talk about the rising tide lifting boats, the rising tide does not lift all boats. The rising tide lifts some boats. And the rising tide is in the game of capitalism. the rising tide is created by the boats that are sinking. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? If I go down in the water, then the wave comes and then somebody else is going up. So here's the deal. Look, here's how you're making other people rich. You're making them rich through the power of compound interest, which is being used not just against you, but being used in the favor of those who don't even like you very much. And so what's happened is that by you paying your light bill on time and your car note on time and your cell phone on time and your rent on time and doing all these things you're supposed to do to get good credit, they're building massive amounts of wealth. So here's what I want you to do. I'm not asking you to hate white people. I don't believe in that kind of thing. We ain't got time to be hating nobody. I'm not asking you to get mad at other people for taking advantage of our mistake. I'm not asking you to change anything. I'm not asking you to go out and become a financial expert. I'm not asking you to starve yourself. I'm not asking you to not buy a Mercedes. What I'm asking you to do is one simple thing. One simple thing. I want you to really understand what equality means, equality and equity. What does that really mean? Equality has to start with you. Equality doesn't start with society, it starts with you. And what does that mean? That means I want you to give yourself the same treatment that you give everybody else. I want you to be just as committed to paying yourself as you are to paying other people. I want you to be as committed to paying that bill in that, put that money in the S&P 500 index fund. I've told you guys exactly what to do. It's very easy. A 4-year-old could do this. You don't need to have a PhD in finance to do this. You don't need to have a bachelor's degree. You don't need to take a finance class. You don't need to have a certification. A 4-year-old could do this. A monkey could do this. And I know we're smarter than monkeys, despite what others might say about us. We are smart. We're not just smarter than monkeys. We're smarter than most humans. I really believe that. So what I'm asking you to do is pick a bill, match some bill in your bills that you already pay, and just say, before I pay all that, I'm gonna pay this. Before I pay them, I'm gonna pay me. Before I pay other people, I'm gonna pay my family. I'm gonna pay my legacy. I'm investing my generational wealth. If you do that, and the number I'm really asking you to do is $500. That's the number I'm sticking with because that's the average car note in America. If you do this by just doing what you're already doing, paying bills, then in 5 years you should have roughly $30,000 to $40,000 liquid in your bank account, which means none of you in this room will be able to say, I'm poor. There's not a single person in America who has 30,000 to 40,000 liquid in their bank account who can say I'm poor. You're not even paycheck to paycheck anymore. You can pay a few months of rent or your mortgage with the 30,000. 30,000 might get you through 6 to 8 months. So you got your emergency fund, you got all that together. But the big thing is that's not even the big win. The big win is if you keep going. You do this for 10 years, you're up to almost 100,000. You do that for 20 years, you're about over 300,000. You do that for 30 years, you're close to 1 million, right? And then if you do more, if you have it like that and you do 1,000, because some of y'all have car notes that are over $1,000. I know this because I've met with a lot of you directly. If you do over 1,000, then the numbers all double and triple. Okay. So basically, what I want to ask you to do is, and again, please don't do this for me. Don't do this because you're doing a favor for me. I don't want that. Don't do this because you're sending something to me. I don't want that. Don't do this because I told you to do it. I don't want that. I want you to do this for selfish reasons. I want you to do this for you. Do you understand? So give me a yes in the chat if you follow this, if you agree with the pledge, if this is something that makes sense to you, if this is something that you can do for yourself. I say do it for me. It is a favor to me, but I'm not asking you to do it as a favor to me. I need you to do it as a favor to yourself. So the 5-year pledge, that is something God just gave me this concept, and I said this is something that we can rally around, something that doesn't involve you or any of us sitting around and waiting for some super Negro to save us. It doesn't involve us going to any marches or prayers or rallies or whatever. This is really literally a simple step that would, if I could get every black person in America to do this, this would increase black wealth by about $3 to $4 trillion in less than a decade. It could be your reparations actually. Reparations is a long version of the word repair. It does not say repaired by who. It just says repair. So that's my pitch. I hope that it makes sense. I hope that you guys get what I'm saying. So I want to write a book around this topic. And so what I want to do is ask you all that's everyone in this Zoom, if you could tell me what title will work. Because when you make a book, you want a simple title that's going to work. So I did a poll on my YouTube, and it came down to two titles. And one title of the book was "Pay Yourself First," and the other title that everyone liked was "The Freedom Formula." So I'm going to put these two titles up in this Zoom right now, and everyone in the Zoom will be asked to vote. And what you guys vote for is the title I will pick. Make sense? So I'm going to launch this poll in five. So everybody vote. Everybody that wants you. If you don't vote, you don't count. That's what they always say. Right? So everybody that wants to be counted in on this process, pick your title, and whatever title wins is the one I'm going to pick. Here we go. Right, there it is. Woo! It's almost looking like a landslide. Can't tell. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna let you all pick on the poll. Click on the poll. Stefan said the freedom formula. I like his. Stefan's great. Stephen Polk, I see you. Okay. Okay. All right. Poll didn't pop up, says AJ. I don't know why it didn't pop up for you, AJ. I'm sorry about that, man. All right, but a lot of you have voted, and the winner is drum roll, please. I'm gonna close the poll in five, four, three, two, one, and go. The winner is da-da-da-da, the Freedom Formula. So there you go. That's the title of my next book, The Freedom Formula. So that's it. That's it. So I've already started working on it, and what I want to do is kind of immortalize this idea, like make it solid. Like this is our legacy. This is who we are. This is our generation, right? We got our one chance to do it, and thank you for the congratulations. I appreciate it. And like every other book I've ever written, we do our books independent. We write them up, we put them on Amazon, and then I market them. I market stuff by just talking to you guys about it. It's very just direct stuff. It's not. I'm not going to Penguin or whatever those publishing companies are. I don't do that. They don't understand people like me. And even if they did see what was going on here, I don't even know if I'd want them in our space because they always mess it up. Also, I feel that Black independence is essential for us to be able to do anything we want to do. I have no problem partnering with white people. Um, I do have a problem working for white people. I don't think that we do well when we work for white people because they have not learned how to respect us for who we are. They haven't learned how to treat us properly. They haven't learned how to value us. But the thing about it is that we can't sit and be concerned about whether they value us. Part of the reason that they devalue us is because we devalue ourselves. I do believe that you train people on how to treat you. And so again, if you happen to be white and you're listening to something, look, I ain't got nothing against you, but but I'm just gonna tell you, I've been a black man for a long time, but I ain't never ever tried to be a nigga. So if you treat me like a black man, then we're fine, we're great. You treat me like a nigga, we're gonna have a problem. All right. Same thing goes for any black person that thinks I'm a nigga. That's not appropriate. That's not who we are. All right. So let me mention something. I'm gonna go to my Instagram and share something. And by the way, if you want to get some information on how to implement the 5-year pledge, just text the word pledge to the phone number 87948 on your phone. Text pledge to 87948. And what you'll get is you'll instantaneously get a link to a course or a training I did on exchange traded funds and breaking them down in terms of how they work and how to get involved with those. ETFs are really a great way to invest. And so if you want to understand different types of ETFs, and different ways to sort of scout out industries that you want to be involved with, just text that word pledge to the phone number 87948. You can go to 5yearpledge.com, but for whatever reason, the email isn't going out as much as I wanted to. It goes out, it just doesn't go out to everyone. I don't know why. I'm not good with all that technology sometimes. But if you text the word pledge to the number 87948, I know that the text will go out. All right. So let's see. Johnny says, please do your audiobook in your voice. I will. I will. It's I did an audiobook for the Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power, which is available on whatever Amazon's audiobook publisher is. Is it called Kindle or wait, I think it's Kindle. I think it's Kindle. Yeah, okay, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's Kindle. Anyway, all right. So Audible. Audible, that's right. Yeah, you said I think wasn't it called Kindle before? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember. All right, so let me pull up something that was interesting. So, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring back an old friend. His name is Claymation Dr. Boyce, and Claymation Dr. Boyce called me last night, and he likes to drink a lot, and he's kind of a wild dude, and everybody's got that ratchet friend. Well, this is my ratchet friend because I keep telling him he cusses too much, but he just tells me he doesn't listen. But he's also very smart, and he wants to talk to you about refinancing today. So he said, "Hey man, you got to bring me to class." I said, "Bro, you can't come to class because all that profanity is just too much." And so he threatened to find me on the street and beat me up because he lives in New York. He's straight out of Harlem. Harlem got some real tough, rough people up in there. And Claymation Dr. Boyce is a guy that is someone that I listen to when he talks. So I'm gonna go ahead and let him talk just so we can get this out of the way. So just know I do not take responsibility for anything that he says, and I'm going to play him on the screen now. So here we go.
What the actual fuck is mortgage refinancing? It's basically swapping your old home loan for a shiny new one, ideally with a lower interest rate, smaller monthly payments, or better terms. Sounds like a win, right? Well, it depends. Refinancing done right can save you thousands. Drop your interest rate, shorten your loan, maybe free up some cash for other investments, but done wrong? It's just you resetting the clock on your debt. Here's the trap. Banks will happily refinance you because every time you start over, they get fresh interest payments. That 30-year mortgage you already paid down for 7 years, reset it back to 30, and congratulations, you just bought your bank another boat. And don't forget the fees, closing costs, appraisals, paperwork. Refinancing isn't free. It's the bank charging you for the privilege of giving them your money in a new way. So yeah, refinancing can be smart. If you're cutting your interest rate, knocking years off your loan, or freeing up cash without dragging out debt. Otherwise, it's just a longer leash on the same damn collar. I'm little Claymation Dr. Boyce, and I'll let you in on a little secret. I don't give a fuck. I love you, and I'll see you next time. What the actual fuck is mortgage?
Okay. So you guys heard that, right? So again, can't stop him from the cussing, but the guy knows some stuff, right? He's not stupid. I went to grad school with him. He was wild, man. He used to get drunk and stuff, and that dude, he's got a past. But anyway, so Claymation Dr. Voice has shared with us today a message that I think is worth listening to. Don't get caught up in the messenger. It's kind of a Charleston White kind of thing. Anybody know Charleston White? He talks a little bit. Him and Claymation Dr. Voice, they're friends. They hang out. But you gotta like get past the messenger and listen to the message. So what is he saying in this message? What he's basically saying is that when you go to refinancing in some cases can be good in the sense that it can help you pull out your equity. It can help you obtain liquidity. Which we talked about liquidity in terms of getting cash when you need it. That can benefit you in a multitude of ways. So your home equity is really a direct form of financial security, right? So buying a home, in my view, is one of those things that you want to do. I know some people, it's controversial for some people. They don't think home ownership is good or bad or a good thing. I think it's good. I think it's good because it's a natural way to save money. And ultimately, it also allows you to benefit from what they call asset appreciation, where the prices of assets are going up faster than the cost of inflation. So while your grocery bill is going up by 4%, 5% on a bad inflation year, your home equity went up by 10, 15, 20%. So you were able to make more money by owning the asset. The downside of refinancing is one time. The more time is money in the world of finance. In the world of finance, time is not it's not just that time is money. That's not just a metaphor. That's a fact. It's a mathematical fact. So so basically, the more time you add on to any sort of financial arrangement, the more it's going to cost you because that's what interest is. Interest is a compensation for a couple of things. One, it's a compensation for risk. The higher the risk, the higher the interest rate. Number two, it's a compensation for inflation, right? Because if I loan you money, the values of the value of those dollars that you hold are going to go down. So I need inflation, or I need part of my interest rate to compensate me for the inflationary loss. And the last part is what they call the impatience parameter. And the impatience parameter basically is the fact that you're holding my stuff. While you got my stuff, I can't use it. So there's an interest payment that comes with that. So when you buy or when you borrow money, it's great because it accelerates time for you. It speeds up your time, but it takes time away from something or someone else, and that person or entity is going to expect to be compensated for that. Now, so it doesn't mean that you never refinance. It doesn't mean that it's always a bad idea. It just, I would say, if someone said I want to refinance my home, I would say like, well, why? What is your reason? And maybe it's because you want a better interest rate. Okay, that's a decent reason. Maybe it's because you need cash. Okay, I get that. Maybe it's because you want to make an investment. Absolutely, I get that. We have students that are in the stock options class that use a refi or a HELOC, home equity loan, to buy stock and sell the options, right, to make money like a business. But if you're doing that because you just want to have a bunch of money so you can go spend it, or go into debt in some other capacity, or just use the money for something that's not going to make money for you, I would probably reconsider that, because a lot of these refinancings where the bankers are able to sneak in and get their money is they're able to use fees and things like that and penalties to sort of sneak in and take their money in a guaranteed sort of way. And so what they do is they sort of take advantage of the lack of financial literacy in American society. They also take advantage of the lack of time and patience that people have. So people say, I need time, so I'm going to go borrow and buy some time and pay interest to obtain time from someone else. So people are sort of stuck in these spots where where maybe if you were given more time, you wouldn't need to go borrow the money that you're borrowing. That's all payday loans are all about. Payday loans are somebody saying, I need to get a loan now because I've got a bill due tomorrow. I don't have enough time. So when you borrow money, excuse me, in many cases, you're not just borrowing money, you're actually borrowing time. And time and money are deeply connected, just like when Einstein's theory of relativity came around and he explained how space and time are connected and everything else, and he kind of flipped everybody out. Now, what I want to do is I want to share something else with you. And by the way, guys, I'm going to send you all an invitation. Constance Carter, you guys know her. She was at the All Black National Convention. She is a real estate expert. She is going to do a free session this week on real estate investing, and I'll send you guys a link to that if you want to join. You'll get that. Make sure you're on the text list for this class. Just text the word morning to the number 87948. So just text morning to 87948, and I'll send you a link to all the stuff that's happening here. All right, now let's go back to Instagram again. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance, and there was something else I put up there that I thought was an interesting economic lesson. And let me see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. There's plenty of stuff up there. So if you want to go in here and just, I don't know, be like fascinated or afraid, frightened or entertained, you can do that. But here's something I did this morning. I did this morning, and it has to do with the Breakfast Club. I like the Breakfast Club. I've been on the show several times. I knew Charlemagne the God many years ago. I met him in 2006, and I've liked him ever since. But I did not like this, and I'm going to lay it out, and then I'm going to explain why I felt the need to stop on a New York City street in the middle of the block and make this short little video. So here it goes. I just saw Ben Shapiro, who's a very well-known Zionist, whose platform is pretty much controlled by Israel and AIPAC for the most part. If you listen to the rhetoric, they give this sense that they're really under that spell, if you know what I mean. They were on the Breakfast Club. That was a very bad look for the Breakfast Club. Very bad look for anybody who had anything to do with that interview. I'm not even gonna put it on Charlemagne. I like Charlemagne. But this really speaks to the power of money and what it looks like when the power of money is used in a really toxic and horrific way. Anybody who sees what's going on in Gaza right now can't possibly understand why black folks would align with and support that nonsense. We've got black politicians in Capitol Hill that swear loyalty to Israel more than they are loyal to the black community. They are 10 toes down for anything that the Israelis have to say, anything the Zionists have to say. And I can tell you, if you want to understand what's going on, just follow the money. I just had to make a point on that, just to help you understand that in America, we have an addiction to capitalism. And in some cases, the power of money is used in a way that is ultimately going to destroy this country. It is my opinion that our unhealthy alignment with Israel is what caused the Iran and Iraq wars. It's what's caused us to continuously fund the genocide happening in Gaza. It's also made us look like a bunch of damn fools. And I would just say to black folks who have a lick of damn sense in our brain, don't you dare go along with this nonsense. Ain't nobody out here helping your community. Ain't nobody out here saving all those dead babies in Chicago. They destroyed the hip hop music industry with their money and turned it into a toxic waste dump that has been dropped and spewed on our community and made everybody mentally ill. This is embarrassing, man. This is just embarrassing. That's it, guys. I'm out of here. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm a finance. All right. So so here's what the reason I shared. Were you guys able to hear it? Let me know. Give me a quick yes if you were able to hear the video, okay? And if you got the point of the video. Um, okay, so what I was basically saying was, and I know that's a heavy topic, Gaza and everything else, but if you're following any of that, it's got to break your heart. I mean, it's terrible to watch. And I became aware of what the Israelis were doing to the Palestinians in 2006 when actually around the same time I met Charlemagne actually. And I was doing a stint with the Center for European Economic Research in Mannheim, Germany. And while I was there, there was another one of these wars. And so a couple of Israeli soldiers had been killed in Gaza, and they went in and they were killing hundreds and hundreds of people, Palestinians, hundreds of people, blowing up hospitals and daycares and I was like, oh my God, they kill two of yours and you kill 1,000 of theirs. That's highly disproportionate. So I started to kind of research it and I was watching it and it was on TV every day, all summer, summer 2006, every day, all summer it was on CNN every day. I got back to the United States and I assumed everybody had been seeing this. This is on CNN every day for 3 months. I went to a bunch of my friends and I said, "What'd you think about that crazy war that was going on in the Middle East? It was wild." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" They had no idea that there was a war in the Middle East. They didn't know. No one in America knew. And that made me more curious about propaganda and how I'm convinced that there are people that use their wealth and power to really control the way information flows through the United States. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like Jesse Owens actually spoke on this in his book as well, and you can go look that up and look that reference up if you want to. Where they deliberately misinterpreted his interactions in Germany with even who Hitler, right? He said that they misinterpreted everything deliberately because they wanted to create a certain narrative. And he said, actually, it was my own president who wouldn't talk to me. He said that, yeah, he said that guy, he sent me an autograph picture. He shook my hand. He congratulated me on being a great athlete. He said it was my own president that wouldn't talk to me. Does anybody else know this, or am I the only one? Like, I don't know if anybody else knows this, but so here's my point on this, right? This is not to condemn everyone who's Jewish. That's first thing I'll say. That this is not because so many people from the Jewish community want to be good people and they do good things. But we all know that there are individuals in every community, and we have our own in our Black community that don't represent the very best of us, that do things that end up harming the image of the rest of us, right? I walk into spaces as a Black man and I got to be held accountable for what the last Negro did. And I'm like, I ain't got nothing to do with this guy. I don't know why this guy was doing what he was doing. I'd like to be seen as a human being. So I get that. But I think that when you look at this, the reason I brought this story up is because this is a clear example of two things. One, it's an example of how one group having a disproportionate amount of money and power allows them to do things that you can never do by just showing up at the voting booth. I'm not saying don't vote. I would never tell you to do that. But but if you're 2% of the population, but you're controlling the other 98%, they do that through money. They do that with money and capital. They do that because they do exactly what we're doing in here, except we're doing it better. Do you understand? The reason they have an outsized influence on the United States and can control the whole country like a little bunch of puppet bitches is because they train their children at birth on how to control their economics, how to build ecosystems, and how to understand how money works. You up here training your child how to play basketball and how to twerk, and they're training their kids on how to understand investing, stock market participation, real estate ownership, business development. That's what they're talking. That's what they're talking about to their kids. And it's fine. I'm not threatened by that. I trained a lot of Jewish kids when I was at Syracuse. It's culture, man. Everything's culture. That's why my last book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, was all about economic culture. I said that's what we need. We need the right culture. Because unfortunately, those who control the wealth have used their wealth to bastardize our culture. They've trained us to act like a bunch of damn clowns, and that's not who we are. We know this, but that's become the image of Black people across the world, and people do that with money. So that's the first thing it shows you. It shows you what happens when you become economically dominant and you're also intelligent and you have economic consciousness. You can pretty much shape the world into what you want it to be. You can decide what the truth is going to be and what's going to be a lie. But here's the other thing that it points out, and in terms of especially when you look at the Breakfast Club bringing this Ben Shapiro guy on, which I know Charlemagne well enough to know that he's smart enough to know that this is just ridiculous. But what this comes down to is a lack of ownership that Black people have in media. Black people don't control our own media, and not only do we not control our own media, many of us are naive enough to let others control our media. There ain't no damn way that no Jewish family should be running a company called Black Entertainment Television. Do you understand what I'm saying? There ain't no way that should be happening. That should be an absolute no-no. That should be a violation. That's like somebody, that's like letting R. Kelly control your daughter. You could be stupid enough if you want to, but I'm not letting that happen. They've been molesting your culture for the longest time, and all these terrible things are happening because of it. Because I guarantee you this, their community is smart in the sense that they would never let a Black man control a company called Jewish Entertainment Television. Would they or would they not? If I was a Black man, if me and all my Black friends got together and said, let's get in these Jewish kids' heads. Let's tell them this is your culture, Mazel Tov, right? Like really, think about it, like this is your culture, right? Okay, right? And they would absolutely positively shut me down. They might even take me out. I might not even be breathing the next week. So what I'm saying to you is, at the end of the day, man, why do we allow certain rules to be applied to Black people that don't apply to anybody else? Why do we let other people do things to us that they would never let us do to them? Why do we hold on to this fantasy of equality when, economically speaking, if you're not economically strong, you really don't have access to equality. You're never going to have it. You have to have economic strength. And the first step before you save the whole community is to save yourself. That's why I say things that sound very dramatic. I say things like, no Black child should ever be forced to work for a white person, because there's no white child that's forced to work for a Black person. But my statement sounds crazy until I flip it on you. When I first say it, they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, sir, you sound radical. That's racist. What do you mean no Black child should have to work for a white person?" Well, I say, well, there's no white child that has to work for a Black person, is it? Am I right or am I right? Really? I mean, if I say it the other way, yeah, it's like, yeah, of course, there's not a white child that's forced to work for a Black person. That would be preposterous. That makes no sense. But when we say every Black person is going to have to work for a white person, that sounds like logical. Like, well, of course. Why should you go to an HBCU? I mean, you're gonna have to learn to get along with white people because you're gonna have to work for them. Tell me I'm lying. I want you to really think about that. Think about how many times you've heard people tell you. Has anybody ever heard that? Or maybe I'm too old school on this, but anybody ever heard that where they say, remember when they say HBCUs were unrealistic because, well, eventually you're going to have to work for white people, so you have to learn how to get along with white people. Anybody? like they used to say that, and nobody goes to Yale and they say, well, that's unrealistic that you don't have to learn how to work for African Americans. I mean, eventually a Black man is going to be your boss. No, now, maybe they might say, okay, you one day your employee is going to be Black, or even your coworker, right? Let's just be real. Let's be honest and accurate here. We don't need to be extreme to make our point. So maybe they might say your coworker could be Black, or your subordinate would be Black, but not anywhere in their mind are they imagining that, well, shit, damn, the CEO of the organization I work for is going to have to be a Black person. Because I got 1,000 organizations I can work for, and I may happen to have a Black CEO, which, again, I don't think all white people are terrible. I don't think that they're sitting around hating Black people. Like, right, so they can tolerate that. But for the most part, no white kid graduates from college expecting that they're going to end up working for a black owned business. And in fact, even most of the major corporations that have black CEOs are not black owned businesses. They've got black figureheads. And that's something that we're still learning to differentiate. We're still learning to differentiate between a black face in a high place versus the black face in a powerful place. Black power does not show up typically in a Fortune 500 company. Black power shows up in places like this. And I say it like this because of this. We're not a big company. We're not a billion-dollar organization, but we've probably, generated $50 million for the black community in the over the years. In this space, you cannot survive or operate if you're not really deeply in tune with black culture. If you were white and you worked for me, you'd probably have to code switch every day. You would. You'd have to be able to talk in a way that I understood because if I don't get you, I'm not going to work with you. You understand? Um, and the other thing too is that these realities um, are things that you create by having the ability to understand how systems work, what it means to build a business, what it means to build a space where you can survive financially, and it becomes almost like a little bit of a bubble that can insulate you from some of the racism of society. I mean, don't get me wrong, certain things always exist. I can't go change the court system. I can't stop the police from doing whatever they do. But I'm gonna just tell you the honest to God truth. I don't talk to cops that much. And when I do, I say, thank you for your service. How you doing? Nice to meet you. I think all soldiers, I thank them for their service. Because I've seen too many good cops. I know they're out there, right? So I have a view on police, but my dad was a cop. So I saw the bad and the good. My experience was not like everyone else's, but every time I've run into an officer, they want me to pull out my license, I give it to them, and then they send me on my way and it's over, or they give me a ticket or whatever happens, right? So the point of the matter is to say that if you look at the life of most black people, the life of a black man, the life of a black woman, typically their most stressful interaction with regard to race is what happens when they get to work. It's going to that job every day. And it's not that going to work is the problem. It's who you're working for. And it's not even working for people who are not black. That's the problem. It's the fact that you have to do it. It's the idea of being trapped. It's the idea of not having any options, right? And knowing that you have to walk into a stressful environment every day and you have no choice but to walk into the fire. Right? It's one thing if I choose the fire because I'm ready for a challenge or it doesn't bother me or I just enjoy fire. It's another thing if I have to do it. If I'm like, man, I hate fire, I have anxiety, my heart rate goes up, I start sweating, my fingers get cold, and you have all these physiological reactions to this stress. But somebody says, well, you got to do it because you're black and you're financially desperate, and these are the only people that are going to give you enough money to pay your rent. I think that's a problem. So if you want to know where the 5 year pledge comes from, it comes from the fact that if you commit just 5 years, really preferably 10 or 20, to your financial freedom, which you've already done, you've already committed 20 years to working for white people, you committed 30 years to paying bills, you committed lots of years to raising children. So you can do this, very easy to do. If you do that, you make that little sacrifice, then you at least go from a position of doing things because you want to versus doing things because you have to. Do you understand? You get to do what you want to do instead of doing what you're forced to do. And being forced to do something is a type of slavery. It's not extreme slavery. It's not the same slavery our ancestors had, but it's a type of slavery. So money does give you options. Money gives you power. Money gives you freedom. So to me, if my goal as a black person, if my goal was to be as black as possible, if I was like blinkety black and I believe in black liberation, how many of y'all would consider yourselves to be strong believers in black power? Like you get it, like you see the black fist and the afros, maybe the dashikis, possibly, maybe not the dashiki. It's up to you, right? Nation of Islam, you get excited, right? You see strong black men, black women, you cheer for the black person in the sporting event, even if you don't know the sport. You watch the black people in the movie, you hope that they don't die, right? How many of y'all consider yourselves to be extra black? You're called a black identity extremist. I think that's what the term is, right? So a lot of you are super black, right? So to me, um, if the blacker I want to be, the wealthier I will become. The blacker I want to be, the more economically intelligent I'm going to be. Wealth is the new black, investing is the new black, financial intelligence is the new black. But it's not the new black, it's the old black. because anybody that wants to be black understands that blackness should come with a type of power, and power comes with independence, and that's what independence and power are cousins. So independence means that I can't call myself black and powerful yet say that I'm so powerless that I must depend on white people to feed my damn children. It's one thing if you need them to get you a Gucci belt. It's another thing if you need them to give you an Uber ride. It's another thing if you need them to buy you a cup of coffee, but you need them to feed your damn children. That is about as powerless as you can be. And I hate saying it like that. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to be honest. And literally, there's no black power in the room when I say, yes, I'm black and I'm proud and I'm powerful, but I needs massa to make sure that my chillums get to eat today. That's not powerful. That's not independent at all. That's bad. That's really bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, you already need them to do stuff like maintain the electrical grid and run the government. Like we can't change that. Like, I mean, eventually maybe we can, but right now it's hard. But to need them to literally feed your children is a very scary place to be, especially when you're running around with this double life. Some of y'all listen to me at work right now, and you have to turn the volume down because you're so scared of what's going to happen if your boss hears me talking. And that's fascinating to me because there's nothing that I'm saying that isn't that can't be defended with facts and logic. I'm not saying anything that's hateful. Every day I get on here and I deliberately say, hey, I don't hate all white people. I'm safe. I'm good. I'm not going to hurt you, right? And but still, think about this. I end up looking very dangerous because I'm talking about something that really, to some extent, is dangerous, and that's Black economic liberation. If Black people are economically free, do you know how many people are gonna lose money when Black people become economically intelligent? Do you know how many people's livelihoods? See, I talk about how you depend on them, but they depend on you too. They depend on you just in a different sort of way. Like you depend on them to feed your kids. They depend on you the same way a vampire depends on the people he's sucking blood from. So they, or like the way a shark it depends on the other fish that he gets to eat every day, right? So you're the fish, they're the shark. So really, and this is capitalism, right? So if Black people suddenly become conscious consumers, then that takes a couple trillion off their wealth. If Black people start to become investors and owners, that takes a couple trillion off their wealth. If Black people stop being employees and start being bosses, well, that's going to take a few trillion off their wealth, right? If Black people start creating ecosystems and supporting Black businesses instead of just running to Walmart, Target, and wherever, whenever we get a couple of dollars in our pocket, well, that takes another couple trillion out of their wealth. And that really undermines the entire system. That undermines everything because capitalism runs very well on untrained, unprepared people. Untrained, unprepared people are the fuel for the capitalist machine. They are the commodity that is traded amongst the elite. They are the pawns that are used by the chess players that run this economic ecosystem that claim to make America great again and everything else. And again, I'm not saying that just because Trump said it. I'm saying because there's a million Donald Trumps out here, and a bunch of these Donald Trumps are in the Democratic Party too. So stop acting like it's a Democrat Republican thing. It's not. It's not. It's an American thing. It's an American thing. America was built on the backs of slaves. It was built on us. We did this. We built this damn thing. So the only way they're going to get off your back is if you stand up. If you stand up, they can't stand on your back. But some of us are trained to just lie down. I'm not interested in lying down. I think standing up is appropriate. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna head on out, guys. I'm sitting in this little phone booth, and it's weird on my butt and it's very strange. I'm in a WeWork in the middle of Manhattan right now. I'm here for D1's tour. He's doing his New York City stop on the 12th, and I'm gonna come in. He does a community forum before his concert. And so I'm gonna be a part of that. So I told him I fly to New York to support him. And I told you guys on D1's whole hypocritical hop tour, 40 tickets. I bought 40 tickets on every stop for you. So if you guys come in and the first 40 of you that come in and say, I'm with Dr. Boyce, they will let you in for free. If you're number 41, then you got to buy your ticket. But the first 40, absolutely. So if you want to find his tour in every city he's going to be in, I think he's doing like New York. He already did Houston. That was sold out. It was amazing. He did Atlanta. I bet that was sold out because he lives there. And then he's got DC and Dallas and New Orleans, of course, because he's from the Big Easy. And so D1music.com, and I support him 100% because he's just been such he's been such a light in terms of helping us to really see what others have done to us and really fixing this thing, right? My generation from the 90s, they kind of messed it up. We're the ones who started believing in the gangster rap and everything else. And even my good friend Ice Cube, I had to say, I hate to say this, but NWA and some of the music, the lyrics that came out of your mouth, they were not necessarily what our community always needed. I think Cube understands that. I think Cube evolved over time and started to begin to see his power and speak in a different way. Right? If you listen to his albums, you notice he's changed, and and I can just say, just from speaking to him privately on many occasions, I respect him for his intelligence and his insight and his strategic thinking. But still, though, there's work to do, right? So I think that David Banner, that's another friend of mine, a guy that's really done a good job of. David Banner turned the whole ship around. He literally said that I became embarrassed when I started to realize what the lyrics I was saying, how they were making our people look around the world. And so I respect him for having the courage to say that because it's hard to do that. It's hard to admit that you were wrong. It's hard to admit that you participated in something that was harmful to your people. But a lot of us are tricked into doing that. And even I've done that at some point, I'm sure 100% all of us have. The least we can do is support those that are trying to shift that. Right now, someone says immortal technique. Yeah, that's another one. I had two long conversations with that guy. I never forgot it. I love talking to him. Nothing's better than when you meet somebody that you've heard about and the conversation goes exactly the way you thought it would. Immortal Technique was like that. I said, I remember hearing his music. I said, I'd love to talk to this guy. And we got on the phone and we were just talk for hours. And he's a great dude to talk to. But anyway, with that being said, Immortal Technique, if you're a hip hop fan, you should look him up. He's really, really good. He's from Peru, but he gets it. He's a black man too. So anyway, that's it, guys. I'm gonna bounce on out of here. Don't forget, if you want to be on the text list for this class, text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. You can invite your friends and family. Later on this afternoon, we're doing Stock Market Tuesday, so I'm gonna hop back in this hot ass phone booth at noon Eastern, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the stock market, break down stocks that I like, stuff like that. If you want to join, you can still join at drboycestockmarket.com. That's drboycestockmarket.com. So God bless you guys. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.